So greetings, dear audience. My name is Tetiana Cherednychok. I'm a localization specialist at SBT localization team. And today we will talk about placeholders in video game localization. But before we start, we will take a brief look at our team and at the projects that we are working on and our finished projects. And then we'll move to the aspects of localizing placeholders using real cases from our projects. So who are we? Non-governmental organization SBT localization team is registered in July 2018. The main goal of our organization is to popularize gaming culture and increase overall awareness of the subject by performing educational work in the form of lectures and presentations at relevant meetings and conferences. We aim to encourage the Ukrainian gamer to seek out Ukrainian content and thus stimulate the media market for development, right? The founders are Alexey Ivanov, Sofia Shul, and Olga Khmelnytska. SBT localization team was formed on the base of SBT localization, that is community of volunteer translators. And this community was founded by Igor in 2012 by volunteer translators from the Ukrainian localization project Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition. Some of those involved in the project decided not to stop at what have been achieved and continue promoting the Ukrainian language in games. As a matter of principle, our team cooperates with game developers on official terms. We try to show developers and publishers that there is a demand for Ukrainian localization in Ukraine. Such a demonstration is our way to spur its further popularization, and we believe that Ukrainian gamers deserve Ukrainian localization of their favorite games, as they want it and they are ready to pay for it. And we harbor no doubt that soon there will be enough Ukrainian-speaking players to form a market for Ukrainian localizations, a market that is stable and properly commercialized. So during its existence, SBT localization has already translated more than a dozen of games, a few works of literature, and has established contacts with a number of developers. Some of the projects you can see on the screen. And I want to emphasize the Sinking City from the Ukrainian developer from Verse. Also the Curious Expedition, Baldur's Gate, Siege of Dragonspear, and there are a lot of other interesting and fascinating projects that we are very proud to be worked on. And for more details, you can visit our website. Currently, we are working on Kingdom Come Deliverance and Baldur's Gate localizations. We are also working on translations of Jim Francis's comic books Outsider and a couple of NDA secured projects. Now let's talk about localization aspects and the placeholders itself. We can conditionally divide them into literary and technical. So literary features of localization include all elements of the literary language of the game, of the text, which are stylistic or syntactic features, figures, phonic means, and so on. The technical aspects of video game localization include all of the elements that affects this display and placement of the text and variable game information during the game. Today we are going to get acquainted in more detail with the technical component of localization, which in my opinion is the most challenging, but at the same time, it's the most interesting aspect of localization. So placeholders, also known as variables or dynamic keys, can be conditionally divided into three groups. The first group contains variables that which meaning is known for sure from its name. For example, name of the character, race, pronoun, and so on. The second group includes variables which meaning can be guessed. For example, its companion, right? Number of something, damage, and etc. And the third group contains unknown variables. They are meaning, well, unknown from the context, and we cannot distinguish it. Such placeholders demand special attention because in the square brackets, as you can see, instead of 0, there can be numbers 1 or 2, and they can mean either just number or some amount, or even there can be a part of the sentence, so it can be really anything in these square brackets. This sentence happened to us during the localization of the Banner Saga 3, a sequel of the tactical role-playing game from American developers Stoic Studio. Now you can see that the most typical situation here with variables. As I mentioned before, a variable contains data that is automatically substituted by the game in the process of gaming. In this case, the variable name means the name of the character. The peculiarity of translating sentences with variables is to reformulate the sentence so that name, right, variable is used in the nominative case. It is worth noting that since there is no grammatical category of gender in English, we must make sure that the verb of the translation matches both the masculine and the feminine nouns that the game can substitute it with. So to do this, we replaced the past tense in the original with the present tense in the translation. In addition, we have to not exceed the character limit, which is extremely important to pay attention to when localizing Banner Saga. As a result, our translation is relevant and and grammatically correct. Here's a slightly more complicated example. This is, it's worth noting that there is no general correct solution when translating sentences with variables, which is why in the process of localization, we consider each case separately. We decided to translate this line this way, somewhat transforming the predicative center of the sentence into translation, which prevents the appearance of a grammatical error when substituting the name of the character during the game. Here is a string from the video game Hand of A2, a role-playing game with a collectible card game from Australian developers Defiant Development. The sentence that you will see seems rather simple at the first glance, but if you draw an analogy with the previous example, you can see that in this case, you also need to paraphrase this sentence so that the variable comp name, which is highlighted in green, was used in the nominative case because this variable also indicates the name of the character. And also we see that there is a variable num, which is highlighted in yellow, and this variable indicates number. Specifically in this case, it indicates the number of moves. To achieve the relevance of the translation, we reorganized the sentence, changing its original grammatical structure, where the variable comp name became the subject of the sentence and has the form of a noun. Due to this permutation, our translation is semantically and syntactically relevant. The next example, which we will now discuss with you, is also from the hand of A2. We see that the sentence is full of variables, and before starting translating the sentence, we need to understand what all of these symbols mean. So everything that starts from the C in the square brackets and highlighted in green, and including the highlight command, means that in the game, this text will be highlighted in bold and in color. So it's like text or something. The variable dam, which is highlighted in yellow, means damage. It's so the amount of harm done to the enemy. The variable faction, which is highlighted in blue, means the type of enemies whose name the game will substitute in the process of the walkthrough. Now that we understand the notation, we can translate this string in order to achieve the relevance in syntactical and grammatical levels. Let me show you a couple of more examples of variables that the localizer can deal with. There is an area of the where a predator can roam, right? And instead of the variable zone, the name of the predator will be put during the walkthrough. So it can be a gorilla, panther, wolf, or any beast that is possible in the game. This message offers an attack and appears when the protagonist comes too close to the animal that it is possible to attack it. So how do we deal with it? In fact, there are two options. The first one is attack gorilla, and we used semicolon here in order to avoid grammatical mistake. And the other variant is to use exclamation mark. And well, the same is here. The noun now is used in a nominative case, and we once again avoided a grammatical mistake. Another interesting case we came across while working on the Curious Expedition. It's an expeditional simulator from German developers Machine and Mensch. There are some challenges while localizing the expedition when, for example, the name of the territory is formed, right? So here you can see the name of the territory, which consists of two variables. The game adapts our highlighted in yellow noun location name with the highlighted in blue adjective location attribute, right? At random, it happens. So if you translate them in singular, as was meant in the original text, we will have a lack of coordinates between the parts of the sentence, and this reduces the quality of localization. This text you can see on the screen. This is screenshots from the game, and there are some lack of coordinates between the parts of the sentence, as I mentioned before, and this text was reviewed during the linguistic testing. To solve this problem, we came up with simple but I think ingenious solution. We used the plural form of the noun, and the same we do with adjectives. So in the game, the player will see natural in certain localization, and thanks to this technique, we avoided a grammatical error in the final version of localization without distorting the meaning laid down in the original. So in the end, I would like to show you a couple of examples how placeholders can look like in a sentence. As you can see, the whole string contains placeholders. So we have to figure out which meaning has each placeholder, and then we can translate it. Another one is also contains, well, 5 variables, right? And we have to find out what every variable mean, and also paraphrase the sentence in a way that there won't be grammatical or semantical mistake. And there are some possible variations of placeholders just for you to get acquainted with. In fact, you can see that it can look like anything in the game, and we have to deal with it. Well, I guess that's all for placeholders for today. But before closing, I would like to mention our partner who supports us. Crowdin is a web-based paid platform for managing translation and localization for software products and documentation. It was created by Ukrainian developer Шлякбитраф. The system is focused on developers and maintaining their projects. This platform is great for localizing software, mobile applications, websites, web applications, documents, and etc. Crowdin also enables automation and organization of the translation process, and this service supports 40 popular formats and platforms. And paid accounts are divided into personal and corporate. They differ in the number of strings that can be downloaded for translation. But the translations themselves are not limited, and the number of projects and the functionality of the platform. It is possible to apply for a free use of the service for open source projects, for example. So we express enormous gratitude to Crowdin team for their help and support. So that's quite it. I thank you for your attention, and Ukrainization of the universe marches on. Thank you.